and it's Sunday, so it's time to go through the 12-pound barrel and see how things are looking. Pretty excited this week. We threw that Geode, and it was about 3/4 of a thunder egg in there. And I really don't know what to expect, whether they've broken all up or what. I don't really even know. I'm hoping the Geode didn't break, because I've seen somebody else tumble one, and it turned out pretty cool. But we will see what it looks like. Looks about normal. We're going to take the lid off. Well, there's the thunder egg. That's not broken all up. Or no, that was the Geode apparently, because that's the thunder egg. So, nothing broke up. Too bad at least. We've got a lot of Bahia agates in the barrel right now, and we've got a lot of Botswana agates. And some red jasper. Oh, wow. A little bit of unikite in there yet. There's the Geode. It didn't break. We'll probably rinse it off and take a closer look at it and decide what we want to do with it. There's our big Bahia agate. That thing's starting to look pretty smooth. I still can't decide whether I want to leave it. I like the yellow and the orange and the red kind of swirly pattern that's going on the outside. But I still have this urge to want to cut it to see what the inside looks like. But we'll see how nice we can get the outside before we make that decision. Put too much water in my bucket there. Alright, and there's the rest of it. Looks like a lot of red jasper in there and the Bahia agates. I see a Botswana and some of the green aventurine. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the barrel right now. And I've got a lot more stuff that we're ready to start putting in here when we have room for more. Got a lot of stuff we're trying to get finished up yet before we get started on anything new though. Alright, I'll go ahead and go through all those. We'll see what's ready to move on, and we'll probably take a closer look at some things that we, like the thunder egg and the Geode, and maybe we'll take a closer look at some of the Bahia agates this week, and then we'll see what we have to fill the barrel. Well, most different types of material or rocks have their own specific challenges that it comes to tumbling them. You know, some materials have a lot of fractures, and some have a lot of pinholes, and some have just all kinds of different stuff that it makes it tough to decide how far you want to go with them before you move them on to the next stage. So this week I thought we'd take a look at some of the Bahia agates, and they're a really nice rock. They look really cool. They've got all the banding, but a lot of them, I'm probably going to have to move the camera to get it to focus a little bit. That's all the Bahia agates that we have in the barrel right now. A lot of them have been in for many weeks, and some of them have only been in for a few. But we bought 5 pounds, so that's what's left of the 5 pounds. I'm not even sure if we've pulled any out yet or not. But we'll take a closer look at some of the things that I'm looking at when we are trying to figure out whether to move them on or not. So like this one, it's got just really cool bands, and this side is looking really nice. I mean, it's flawless. There's a fracture right there, you know, so that's one of the things that you're looking at. It's like, does the guy cut that, grind it off? Do you live with that crack? And then you get to the back side here, and you can see it's fractured, and there's holes, and things like that. So it can be difficult sometimes trying to figure out what you're willing to live with and what you're not. And I know in the past, when I've decided I could live with something and I move it on to the next stage, when it's done, I usually regret it. And I feel like I should have tumbled it longer to get rid of the flaw, because it always looks so much nicer when you get rid of them. But on the other hand, you're also talking about tumbling things for a long time sometimes. This is another Bahia agate. They're all Bahia agates, so you can see all the cool bands. And then the quartz pockets in there. But like this one, sometimes I've heard them called like peelers. I'm not sure if that works on a Bahia agate. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you can see the spot that's broken there. So that's another thing that a guy could grind that off, or do you live with it? And if you keep tumbling, obviously, to get that down, you're going to make the whole thing smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's part of the thing that, and this one actually has a crack running through it right there. So I don't know, maybe I should cut that. There's another little crack right there. But I really don't want to lose all those bands in that quartz pocket, so I probably won't cut that, but I don't know. That's the hard call sometimes. These Bahia agates are really, really neat. They're very cool. They've got so much unique banding, and like that one's got a pinhole in it right there, and I could probably grind it down so that spot gets smaller and not the rest of the rock, but you also have the cracks up top here. And that could be a thing where it's never going to go away, because that looks like it could go in there pretty deep. So there's a lot of tough calls. There's another. That one's got some really cool, like yellow, like I don't even know how to explain it, but that thing is pretty awesome. And then those white bands kind of got the rusty look to them. You don't see a lot of them with the big bands like that. Normally they're really tight. And on the back side, you know, there's a hole right there where that's rough inside there, and then there's a hole right there. So I mean, this one will probably, for me, there's another hole in it right there. To be happy with this one, it's probably going to be in there for another at least a month or two. And then you've got like cracks in it right here. So I just wanted to give you a closer look at some of the things and what I look at, and just get a feel for what some of these Bahia agates really look like. This is a really big one that I keep on talking about cutting it, and every week I change my mind. I think maybe I'll cut it, and then I see it and I think, man, it looks pretty awesome. I feel like we're exposing more as we grind on it, because I don't remember seeing those bands in it like that. But I'd be willing to bet that if we cut this like down the middle that way, or even that way, if we went this way, we'd expose a lot more, obviously. I think that this thing would look amazing inside, but it also looks pretty cool outside. And it's not terrible far off. There's a crack in it, a little fracture, if I can get the light on it, right there in this spot. And other than that, there's a little one right there you can see with the light. It feels pretty nice. It's looking good, but it could still probably be in there a month or longer to get rid of those. And the other thing is a lot of times you're getting rid of the fractures that you see, and you'll expose new ones. And that becomes a never-ending battle with some materials. Here's another one that has, this one I cut, and it's got that quartz pocket running through it. And look at those bands. That thing is just awesome. But you've got this spot on the top where it's all fractured. So I don't know if a guy grinds that off, or you tumble it till it's gone, or you live with it. Because if you grind it off, you lose all these bands down here. And those tight little bands on that thing is really cool. You can see all the, kind of got a little bit of discoloration in the quartz there. But yeah, these Bahias, they're one of my favorites. But they are very difficult to tumble if you're a person that doesn't like flaws. Like this one, this has got really big holes in it. But it also has some pretty cool bands on the top there. Got a little quartz going on down here. More big holes. So this is the kind of thing that if I polish this the way it is right here, obviously I would not be happy with it at all with all those holes in it. But it's also one of those things where it could tumble for a long time and be tiny before you get rid of most of that. And you'd almost have to grind a lot of that to get it off. And I don't like to get my grinder out every week. Maybe like once a month or something like that. to try to get rid of some flaws and speed some stuff up, but this one's got another big... I could probably grind that top off and speed that along. Got some holes on the bottom. Let's see here, what else do we have? A lot of these Bahia agates have the big quartz pocket going on. You got more quartz there, a band of quartz there at the bottom, and then you got a little cap of agate on it. It's got a bunch of eyes going on right there. I mean, I'm trying to get my camera as close as I can, but there is a lot of details and bands going on in there. Those things are just super cool. And there's some pretty good fractures right there. But it could be in there quite a while. And a lot of them, like I say, have already been in there quite a while. This one's starting to look pretty good. Those little black spots don't go very deep, it doesn't look like. So I'm hoping to get rid of those. There's just a little bit right there. A little bit, and you can feel all of those. I'm sure you can see in the light that those are all little holes. One little guy on the top, but otherwise that one's looking pretty decent. But sometimes I feel like a couple weeks and maybe those will be gone, and then a month later there's still some left. So that one's not very interesting. Let's see, this one's got a lot of cool stuff going on. More of the pinholes, all the awesome banding. This one's got some pretty awesome eyes on it. I really like the ones like this right here, because those ones you can see them, but they're completely smooth and flat. But then you get to the ones that have, I don't know if it was when the rock was forming, if it was a void and it didn't completely fill in or what the deal is, but some of them get those pits in them. So I mean, it's still a really awesome rock. This is another one that I cut. And you can see all the just flat bands there and a little bit of fortification banding going on there. And then all your eyes. I mean, every one is unique. They are just amazing. What else do we have? This one has a little bit different bands going on. There's another one that I cut just to expose those bands on the inside. Another one that I had cut. Some of them didn't look, I mean, it looks nice on the outside, but it had a lot of pits and holes. So a lot of those smaller ones like that, I cut them, and you can see this one's got a lot of fractures going through it. There's a fracture coming up here and one going across there. But it'll be one of those things you'll have to spend a lot of time looking at it to figure out if you think it's going to go in there deeper. Do I get rid of it? Do I live with it? This one needs quite a bit of time yet. We've got a few that are getting close. This is another white one, and it looks pretty good, really, for the most part. Got a little egg on the top there. But this spot is basically the spot we're dealing with. Those holes right there. The rest of it, little guy right there, but it's looking pretty good. Let's see what else we have here. That one's not too exciting. Here's another one of these thin ones. I kind of like these ones too. They've got all the bands. Nice white band running right down the middle all the way around. And you can see all the layers. But it's got a pretty good fracture in it right there. And this one kind of, you can feel that lip right there. So I don't know if, again, if that's like called a peeler. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. I've heard it talked to before in some other videos I watched, but I've never really done a lot of research on exactly what that is. I just have my thoughts in my head right now. That's the other half of that one that we looked at a second ago where I cut it, because like it's got pretty cool bands on the outside, but I wanted to see the inside, and it definitely has a lot of stuff going on the inside too. It looks really neat. This one's got pretty unique quartz running through it and all the bands. That little quartz vein runs all the way around it. Bunch of eyes on the top with some pits and holes. Some more quartz with some really fine bands going on down there. kind of different than some of the other ones. All right, so there's a little bit closer look at, we'll look at one more here. This is one of the ones I really think are neat. That's got a little bit different style band than you see on a lot of the Bahia agates. It's fairly faint, and it doesn't have the stacked lines like a lot of them have so much. More of a, I don't know, a normal like agate, or like a Lake Superior agate style looking fortification bands. But it's looking good. Little bumpy yet on the face there that has all the nice bands on it, and the back's pretty boring. Well, let's take a look at this geode. So this is the geode after 1 week of tumbling. And it's smoothed up, and you can kind of see the agate starting to get exposed. I don't know if I think it's agate, I'm not sure, I guess, if it's quartz or what it is. Maybe it's just quartz. I'm going to do some more research on that now. I guess it kind of looks like agate, but it might just be quartz. But you can start seeing some of it being exposed, and we didn't break it open, we didn't crack it, and I shook it a little bit, and it doesn't seem like it got any water on the inside. I can't hear anything. So I think we'll probably tumble it again and see how it looks, and get some more of that host rock off the outside, and we can expose more of the quartz or whatever it is on the inside, and see if we can't get to where it looks like it might polish up without breaking it. And then here's the thunder egg, and this one is agate on the inside, and it's looking pretty cool. Look at that. And it was broke right there, and you can kind of see the agate veins where the pattern is on the inside. And if I remember correctly, the host rock on the outside on these is rhyolite, but it's looking pretty cool there. We're definitely going to tumble that another week, and we will see what it does. And the rhyolite kind of polishes decently, because I have some of these that I've cut and polished on my Vibrolap, and it takes a pretty good shine. It doesn't shine as good as the agate does, but that does shine pretty good too. So hopefully, I mean, obviously that's going to roll. It's come a long ways in a week, actually. A lot of the surfaces are pretty smooth. There's just a lot of low spots all the way through there, and you can see those bands, not necessarily bands, but those veins of the agate running through there. I was afraid that it was going to bust up on those, because I've seen somewhere the rhyolite kind of busted away from the agate, and you just had like the agate piece from the inside. And you can see how where that vein is running through there, there used to be a piece of rhyolite on the top here, and it broke away. And it basically goes all the way around. So we're definitely going to tumble that a while longer, and we'll see what it does, see if it breaks up, or if it gets all smoothed up to where we could polish it and have it looking pretty cool. So there's a closer look at some of what we've got in the barrel. Basically all of the Bahia agates, and then your thunder egg and your geode. Oh, the geode's right there. So we're going to go ahead and we'll get set back up. And all this, I didn't find any Botswanas or Bahia agates that were ready to move on. So all of this will go back in, and we'll get the barrel loaded up, and maybe next week we'll pull out the Botswanas and we'll take a closer look at those. So I'll get the barrel set back up here, and we'll see how much room we have and put something else in there to fill it up. All right, we've got mostly everything back in the barrel. These are all the Bahia agates that we looked at, and our geode and our thunder egg. We'll get those back in, see how much room we have. Didn't really pull anything out, just a couple of little rocks. So I think we're actually just going to call that good. Doesn't look too bad. We didn't pull much out at all, and I don't want to get it too full, because I found if it's too full, it seems like it doesn't tumble as well, and sometimes you'll have a little grit left over. Yeah, I think I got room for a couple more after the water's down. We're going to take a closer look at all the Botswana agates next week, so we'll throw a few more Botswanas in. There, that should work. We've got our 14 tablespoons of our 4670 silicon carbide grit. And we will get that back on the tumbler. And next week we'll take a closer look at our Botswana agates and see how they're coming. And then we'll also take a look at our thunder egg and our geode again. So if you liked our video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you want to see some more of our tumbles coming up and don't want to miss what that thunder egg and that geode are looking like, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.